Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining me again. I wonder if you've seen in the news this week that a rare Amazonian cactus called the moonflower has bloomed for what is believed to be the first time in the UK. This plant lives at Cambridge University's Botanic Gardens, and it was watched overnight throughout last week so that nobody missed the flower, because it usually opens at sunset, flowers overnight, and is gone by the morning. This one chose to do it differently and actually bloomed at about 3 p.m. and it was seen. My Lent course this week is looking at flowers, and although obviously I do not have a moonflower in my garden, I have for the last couple of days been looking quite closely at what flowers I do have. And I confess I was quite surprised yesterday to discover that if I count different varieties of narcissus and different colours of things like crocus and heather separately, that there currently are around 30 different flowers blooming in my garden. Now, compared to an Amazonian moonflower, it might be quite easy to look at things like snowdrops and daffodils and crocuses and think they're nowhere near that special. But having looked closely this morning, I am not sure that that would be right. Today, I chose to spend a while in the garden with my camera looking at crocuses. And despite the fact that there have been crocuses in my garden since forever, I noticed quite a few things that I had not noticed before. I noticed that every colour, every crocus, whatever its colour, has some orange and yellow in it. In the middle of a crocus, there are yellow bits, which are the anthers, and they look lumpy because they're covered in grains of pollen. And there are little feathery orange bits that look like a tiny flower in their own right. And they are the stigmas that are ready to receive pollen from another flower as it rubs off a visiting insect. I also noticed that sometimes the end of those orange stigmas show when the flower is barely open, but that as the flower becomes more open, the stigma seems to get shorter. I've noticed that there are no yellow crocuses in my garden, and I have realised that personally I prefer purple crocuses to white ones, but I have also discovered that no crocus is a single colour. The purple ones are tinged with white, and sometimes darker purple too, and the white ones have purple veins in them. I've noticed that at the bottom of each stem and leaf, there's a kind of whitish protective sheath surrounding it. And I've discovered that the flower stem is the colour of the petals almost all the way to the bottom. I've also noticed that every crocus leaf has a white stripe from tip to toe. I have today looked at yellow pollen lying on the inside petals of a fallen crocus. And I've seen one plant which, rather than having straight, smooth leaves, has leaves that look more like a corkscrew hazel. No idea what happened to make it like that. But there has been so much to discover in one small and seemingly simple flower. As I took some of the pictures that are now on my blog, if you want to have a look, I lay on the grass close to the crocuses and took time to really look carefully. And as I looked, I became more aware of what I was looking at. And as I became more aware, I began to feel more connected, not simply to the beautiful flowers that were in front of me, but to the grass that was underneath me, to the birds that were singing all around me, and through them to the Creator that I believe made all of them. And that sense of connection, just for a few minutes, made me feel healed and whole. And then this afternoon, I randomly pulled a poetry book off my shelf. It is by Mary Oliver. And as I flicked through it, I discovered a poem which says pretty much what I'd been feeling. It's not really a prayer, but I'm going to use it as my prayer this evening. This is Poem of the One World by Mary Oliver. This morning, the beautiful white heron was floating along above the water and then into the sky of the one world we all belong to. where everything sooner or later is a part of everything else, which thought made me feel for a little while quite beautiful myself. Amen. Thank you for joining me. See you again tomorrow, I hope. Bye for now.